So, EverQuest Legends has officially been announced. Let's pull it up here. Here you can see on the screen right now. Here is some concept art from the EverQuest Legends announcement. Very classically inspired, but kind of updated looking of the classic art. You know, you've got Furionova, you've got the one erudite dude. I don't know his name, and it looks like that's also maybe the Wood Elf too, from like the Kunark concept art as well. Here, let me pull up the website. Do that. All right. EverQuest Legends, join the adventure. EverQuest Legends EQL is a newly reimagined version of Classic EverQuest from its original release in 1999. Featuring all the fun, magic, and nostalgia of the original game. EQL is also packed with tons of new features and quality of life enhancements. Okay. Sign up for closed beta. So go to EverQuestLegends.com. Let's see here. Hold on. EverQuest Legends. Let me pull this up here. There it is. So I dropped the link in the chat. Sign up for the beta if this is something that might interest you. But let us delve deeper into this announcement. Sign up for a chance to get access to the EverQuest Legends closed beta by submitting your email address. You agree that we may send you updates and promotional materials regarding EverQuest Legends. You can click to unsubscribe at any time, and we value your opinions. Please join us on Discord. So there is a Discord server as well, so you can get into there. We'll link that. So about the game. Actually, you know what? Let's watch the trailer. Let's watch the trailer real quick, shall we? Let's do it. Let's do that. So here it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Let us throw the music back on. And let's kind of freeze frame some of this. So there is a lot to unpack here. So this appears to be kind of a response to the hero's journey, right? It's looking like a multi-class, so it looks like, now, if I'm not mistaken, let's go to, okay, yeah, here. So it looks like they're leveraging the technology that they recently added to EverQuest, like retail, EverQuest Live, and like I think even the TLP servers, is where you have like a class mask that you can swap, it's like, you could swap to different classes, similar to like in, what is it, Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, or whatever. So your character is just your character, and then you can select different classes. Now it appears they've taken the system further and now have adapted it to kind of a THJ style multi-class. So you can have your main class and then you can have your backup classes. So let's see. Let's okay, so here's Mr. Froglock. You can select your race. Interesting. So what else do we have here? So you got your primary class, your additional classes. So you can have 2 additional classes, 1 primary class. So tri-class, just similar to THJ. Base stats. This is, I am assuming, for the various races. Let's see. You can see deity, city, new Cebalus expedition. That's not. Is that Cabalus? I'm not familiar with some of the later content, but AOA flash test? Oh boy, today's gonna be busy, huh? So, yeah, we're gonna get through this announcement and then we'll probably be getting on AOA after that. But let's go through this announcement. Let's go through this announcement, but definitely check out AOA. EQL has new content. Interesting. Okay, so let's keep going through this. So you've got UI loadouts, you've got equipment loadouts. You could copy your current UI to this loadout, copy current equipment to this loadout. Very cool. Okay. So what else do we got here? Okay, so you're selecting your classes. Cool. Then you're now an XR. Okay, so let's look at the UI here. Interestingly enough, they've got the old spell icons. Cool. And the UI is pretty interesting, right? I don't know that this is any custom UI that I'm familiar with. I could be wrong. But this kind of looks like a new UI that they've cooked up for this. And what are these little sword icons above the heads here? Interesting. This could just be some modern EverQuest stuff that I'm unaware of. I'm very much a classic Andy, like, yeah. So I don't know what that's all about. But let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spell gems here? Okay. So 11 spell gems. And then the typical 12 hotbar buttons. See, so it looks like down here, there's something, it's about difficulty 0. So maybe it's, they're kind of taking a page out of, like, Mythic Plus book, where it's like a scaling difficulties, like 0 difficulty, 1, 2, 3, you know? So maybe you're gonna be doing, like, plus 20 Mistmore or whatever, right? I have no idea. So it's a little EQL icon there. I don't know what that little green icon is. But these look kind of like that top bar that usually exists on EQ clients. Let's see. Factions look normal, from what I could tell. And it shows your class, 3 class selections here. So Monk, Shadow Knight, Wizard for this guy. And I think I heard that the race, your class is tied to your main race. So Ixar could definitely be Monk, so it makes sense. Monk is kind of the parent class here. And then Shadow Knight Wizard as well. Not sure what this window is for. What is a pink spell gem? Am I crazy? Am I not remembering like a pink spell gem? Is that like a new EQ thing? Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Todd? Good to see you. All right, so let's continue on here. Let's keep breaking this down. classic soul, modern clarity. So, did they do some, like... I don't know if they did some, like, graphics upscaling or anything there, but... Okay, here you go. So we got the tooltips here. Reflectable. Interesting. So, what's interesting... So it looks like... Oh, interesting. There's a little bit of, like, a cursor change there. And it looks like the tooltips are, like, hover... So if you put your cursor over the icon, it looks like the tooltip will kind of hover, kind of like WoW style. So it's not like a annoying like right click to inspect, have the window pop up, and then like, you know, how EverQuest does it and other games. And it looks like there is going to be health bars. So like nameplate health bars, and scrolling combat text. And again, we're seeing these sword icons here. This looks like if you a targeting selector for the name tag here. Health red, mana blue. So you'll be able to see NPC mana. And there's also so cleric, a fallen noble. So you can see the enemy's class. And is this like target of target 87? Yeah. So you can see their target of target. And then on the target of target, you can see the class as well and level. Now, is there going to be an enemy cast bar? That'll be an interesting one. Aha, yes, there is. So this purple here is the enemy cast bar. You can see it on both the unit frame and on the nameplate. Very cool. So round kick. Okay, we got the healing scrolling combat text. So this little froglock's doing Plane of Hate. I think I saw some kind of like mosquito pet there. Did you see that? Also, I love this like cowboy hat thing the froglock's wearing. Yeah, there's like a mosquito here, or like I don't know. A little Inrook, Plane of Fear. So what's cool is the froglock is wearing armor models. So my question is this just a like co-developed emulator server, or like is this official? Are they using like the official client? Okay, so that's the trailer. So let's go through the website a little bit more. About the game. EQL has been designed from the ground up to appeal to players who enjoy playing their games solo and or casually. While groups up to 4 players and raids up to 8 players are available, the entire game can be played, enjoyed, and experienced solo if that's your playstyle. Yeah, I've got that article, Squigs. I'm going to pull that up after I get through the website. But thank you. So in keeping with this approach to the game, EQL, that's such a weird acronym for me to say. EQL. Yeah, AOA is slash testing. I will be jumping on AOA in a little bit. I don't know yet, marking around. Okay, so in keeping with this approach to the game, EQL provides players with the ability to create immensely powerful characters by, among other things, selecting up to 3 active different classes per character. For example, you can make a rogue, paladin, wizard, and utilizing new ways to upgrade weapons and armor. As you level up and improve your gear in EQL, you will eventually gain the ability to take on the most difficult game content, whether alone or with a small group of friends. Whether you're an existing EverQuest player, a former player, or a new player that has never experienced the world of Norath, EverQuest Legends offers the opportunity to enjoy everything Classic EverQuest has to offer, plus a lot more. At launch, EQL will feature the continent of Antonica pre-Kunark and all of the EverQuest playable races, including Ixar, Froglox, and Karen, all featured in the original EverQuest art style, including the classic graphics, zones, spell effects, loot, and music, plus more than a few new surprises. Okay. So let's look at these screenshots. Little chessboard action. Okay. What else we got? Lady Vox. Nostalgic. Here's the screenshot that we were of the kind of the video from the video that we were looking at analyzing. And it's taking so long here. Website. What's going on? Oh, there it is. And there he is. Lord Nagafin. Key features. Experience Classic EverQuest. EverQuest Legends features all of the magic and nostalgia of Classic EverQuest, including the... Did I read this? Including the original art style, graphics, zones, spell effects, loot, and music. Enjoy the game as it hasn't been seen, heard, or experienced in over 20 years. Modern game features. EQL features tons of modern game features, including a streamlined user interface, upgraded spell and ability management, and countless other quality of life enhancements. Forge your legend. EQL allows players to create unique characters by selecting up to 3 classes at a time, with all the benefits, stats, spells, and abilities that come with each class. You can also upgrade your gear up to +10, and swap and combine different focus, click, and proc effects on your gear. With 15 available races and 560 possible class combinations, the possibilities for forging the ultimate character are virtually endless. Adventure your way. With the additional power provided to player characters and the many benefits of a modernized gaming experience, EQL makes it possible for players to progress through the game at their own pace and forge their own adventures, whether alone or with others. While small groups up to 4 players and raids up to 8 players are possible, even a solo player can build a character strong enough to take on the toughest challenges and acquire the most epic gear in the game. Todd, thank you for upgrading your Prime sub to Tier 1. I appreciate that. What's up, Join a Cult? So, I guess my take is cool. It's an official THJ alternative. This is gonna be the ultimate dad server, because THJ was the ultimate dad server. Then there was obviously, the legal challenges that they went through, and they had to shut down. But now you have. I'm just gonna kind of spoil it right now. You have Secrets and Rogaine, Rogaine working on this. So you've got 2 pillars of the EverQuest emulator community who have both had their classic EverQuest servers officially recognized and supported by EG7 and Daybreak Games. And yeah, so that's kind of what this is. And you've got some social media links down here. So if this is of interest to you, there's the social media links. So it's Daybreak Game Company and Game Jawn. Rating pending. Okay. Interesting. So what else do we have here? Is that it? So, Game Jawn. This is the new studio behind EverQuest Legends. About. Game Jawn is a remote-first, Philly HQ'd video games development studio. We're a gritty group of underdogs hailing all the way around the globe, from Center City and beyond. We're super nerds who love what we are making. We grew up playing MMORPGs, TTRPGs, and CRPGs. We're super excited to show you what we've been up to soon. We got that Game Jawn. Go Birds. Yeah, I can't comment on that, really, 5-3 Gnome. But I am not involved with this project. I'm not involved with this project. But I'm, you know, yeah, I won't say more. I won't say more, but I'm not involved with this project. So there's a massively overpowered article about this. Let's go through it real quick. GDC 2026, EverQuest Legends is a new pre-Kunark server from Daybreak and Game Jawn. Okay. There's a lot to go through. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's just go through the highlights here. So it looks like something, so GDC was just recently, so I guess this person writing the article must have gotten some word about this or something. Had a chance to sit down with Game Jawn during GDC, and the devs showed me a demo with all the features with a Q&A afterwards. And ever since then, I've been dying to tell you about it. Okay. So Game Jawn. It's a game studio, new studio that spun up last July, composed of experienced members of the EverQuest emulation community. So Etta Secret's spouse as the project director and lead engineer, and Sean Rogin Norton as the senior engineer, and Ray Alia Brewer as the lead technical designer. They've all been playing EverQuest since 1999 and never stopped. They've made multiple EverQuests. Obviously, everyone knows Project 1999, and Rogin was behind that. And you've got Project Quorum, and Secrets was behind that. And they're both classic EverQuest servers that are officially sanctioned to run. And by Daybreak Games through written agreement. No, I am not on this team now. I am not on. I'm just interested. I'm learning about this, and just kind of going over it. When they gave me an elevator pitch, they described it as Classic Plus for EverQuest. So that is actually exciting to me because, so THJ and this kind of like casual solo dad server, it's not going to be for everybody, obviously. However, I think that a lot of people that played EverQuest back in the day, they're nostalgic for EverQuest, they're nostalgic for the IP, they're nostalgic for EverQuest 1 in particular, are going to enjoy this. And I think that... But some of you are obviously not going to enjoy it, right? And that's totally cool. I think what this may open the door for is more old school EverQuest collaborations with the community. So if EverQuest Legends isn't up your alley, this might be the beginning of what Classic Plus EverQuest just is, right? Like, they could do a purely old school Classic Plus server. And now they're showing willingness to collaborate with other studios, other emulator developers. That's pretty cool. Like, say what you will about like official EverQuest, about Daybreak and stuff, but I think their willingness to collaborate, it's kind of unprecedented in the game industry because of all of the legalities and all of that stuff. So, hey, Asian Candy Thought, thank you for the 3 months. I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel that, Alex. Definitely feel that. So, let's see here. Yusefi and Spouse also considered a form... Did I mention... So they were joined by Daybreak's David Sisyphus Yusefi, who functions as the executive producer. He's also an EverQuest player who never quit. So they have a executive producer from Daybreak on the team as well. So when I asked them to give me an elevator pitch, they described it as Classic Plus for EverQuest. It's a classic pre-Kunark EverQuest server that's officially licensed by Daybreak, something that players have wanted a long time. Sorry guys, I'm sick, so I might mute to cough occasionally. So, more importantly, Yusefi and Spouse also consider it a form of game preservation as well. We're getting pre-Kunark and Tanaka and the playable races, including Ixar, Froglocks, and Karen. Game Jawn described the painstaking process of finding the lost media from these early EverQuest days. The devs went through game files in an old Mac version of the game to scrape some old textures and found long-gone music hiding somewhere in Daybreak's old EverQuest files. Hey, thanks Red666. Welcome in. Kunark is the first expansion for EverQuest. So when I first started playing EverQuest back in the day as like a wee lad, I was like 11. Kunark was already out, so I'm a Kunark kid, and I think, you know, arguably it's one of the best eras of the game. It's like comparable to like, it's semi-comparable to like a TBC, right? Because there's only one expansion. The old world is still very relevant, and then you have this new land of Kunark that is kind of endgame focused a little bit. There is a new race, new starting area, and stuff like that for right, and there are some like lobby, you know, like it takes you could go 1 to 60 in Kunark, but a lot of it at the time was kind of endgame focused because you had some like higher level zones and, you know, some outdoor zones that were like higher level than in the old world, and you had your first raid dungeon of an MMO in Vishen's Peak. Well, I guess you had the plains after Classic launch, but before Kunark. But even then, like, I guess Plane of Hate is technically like, so Plane of Fear, Plane of Hate, Plane of Sky are kind of like, I don't know. they're like halfway between outdoor zones, halfway between dungeons, right? I would say Plane of Hate is probably the closest to a raid dungeon. Plane of Sky is like, it's like a series of islands, but you're kind of just sitting outdoors. And then Plane of Fear is an outdoor zone as well, but it's a very oppressive outdoor zone. But yeah, Vishen's Peak was like the first true, like, super hardcore raid dungeon. Like, super hardcore. Like, they don't even make the raid, like, you couldn't gate. Like, you had to go to the exit. Right? You didn't have to gate. Yeah, am I crazy? Or wait, could you gate? Or I'm trying to remember. You couldn't gate. Because I remember you had to go to, like, the exit. Dude, I can't even remember from, like, playing P99 excessively, like, a few years ago. But, like, they had a CSR policy. They wouldn't help you with, like, corpses or anything. Like, it was, like, a no CSR zone. You needed a wizard for air is all I remember. Yeah, well, yeah, so Plane of Fear, you would enter through a portal, but it would be a one-way, and there was an exit. You could gate and port out of Fear, though, and Hate and Sky. You could just jump off the island and Sky. For Mischief, you had to run in through one of the most difficult, like, areas that they ever conceived in the game to even enter it, which was kind of interesting for a zone that you can kind of play solo, small group, or it's kind of a grouping zone. But yeah, anyways, I'm getting off topic. So Game Jawn describes the painstaking process of finding the lost media from these early EverQuest days. The devs went through the files in an old Mac version of the game to scrape some old textures and found yeah, I read this. So, if you guys remember EverQuest Mac, EverQuest Mac was a server that was running unchanged in the 2002 era EverQuest. And people found out about this, like, Fires of Heaven, the Fires of Heaven forums found out about this, and I don't know if it was Rerolled or Fires of Heaven at the time, but essentially, EverQuest community at large started finding out about EverQuest Mac and went to this official EverQuest server that was really cool because it was actually an official server running old EverQuest. And this is like 2009 through, like, I'm trying to remember, when did EverQuest Mac shut down? When did EverQuest Mac shut down? 2013. And I forgot when it became popularized, but it was like a really cool server. And what was, I think, helpful and cool about it, especially from the EverQuest emulator standpoint, was that the kind of brains behind EverQuest emulator were able to delve into the mechanics of EverQuest Classic, kind of an earlier Classic era of EverQuest, and kind of data mine and kind of collect packets or whatever they needed to do. They looked at the old clients and reverse engineered it, did whatever they needed to do, and that was a huge, they looked at the spawns as well. And all of that was like a huge thing for making the existing EverQuest servers like Project 1999, TACP, Project Quorum, all those servers, like bringing them up to a more classic authenticity. So super huge props to like all the people and all the minds that went behind that, because it just makes some of these servers that are now officially sanctioned by Daybreak Games, makes them a ton better. So, yeah, so that's kind of, I think, what they're talking about here is the EverQuest Mac stuff. So, making the game soloable is also part of the game preservation process. That's what's tough about these old MMOs. Despite its importance in the MMO genre, EverQuest is hella niche. I already know that under normal circumstances, I won't be able to see and experience everything in EverQuest. Making the entire thing soloable means people will get to see everything the game had to offer. With that being said, Game Jawn took many liberties to ensure that players are able to customize their experience by adding a whole lot of modern quality of life features that ease the learning curve a bit. So again, this is not going to be for everybody. Some people want an old school game that focuses on grouping, it focuses on, you know, social mechanics and friction, right? This is very much not that, but it's still an old school EverQuest recreation in a way. So again, this is going to be the ultimate dad server, or mom server. Excuse me, I should have muted for that. But anyways, so let's read what else they have to say here. So the biggest liberty Game Jawn took was the players can now multi-class. Our readers will know that Daybreak just wrapped up its lawsuit against a specific profitable emulator that was using EverQuest's name and assets with similar features. Which, yeah, okay. So this is very similar to THJ that has now been shut down. So players will be able to play 3 classes, and all those choices aren't permanent. The devs want players to experiment and live the class fantasy they want in the game. It's also important for balance. They expect players to go out on their own, and being able to bring the power of 3 classes ensures that players can do whatever they want to do while out exploring. This raises the power level of players so they can tackle anything, especially with smart build crafting. So they asked the devs if they're concerned about a metaforming around the build crafting, and Rogaine was quick to emphasize that there probably will be, but it won't be the focus. And right, I think this makes total sense. Like, you can't balance 560 combinations, guys. Like, yeah, make adjustments here and there if you feel like, you know,
well,
certain...
_below_average just shared 100 bits.
Hey, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Well below average. Appreciate that. So... Cool. So... Yeah, there's no way you can balance 560 class combinations. If you want to play something a little bit more unorthodox, I think that should just come with the difficulty, right? Like, you shouldn't... Like, they shouldn't be expected to have to balance that. That would be crazy. Now, maybe they want to tweak certain higher tier lineups so that, you know, there's kind of a balance up there, but... what's it called? Anyways, let's just continue on. Grouping is also an option, albeit smaller, to accommodate the raised player power. Players can solo explore in small groups of up to 4 players and raid in groups of 8 players, but a player can build a character to kill raid tier monsters. I should also mention that said raid bosses and dungeons have instancing, so players won't have to fear kill stealing. And even if they're out exploring, they won't have to worry about getting ganked since the entire server is a PvE server. What's up, Boss Toss? Love the idea of solo play, but wish they had some content that was group only. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to be doing any, like, arbitrary, like, scaling for the minions of hell grow stronger, right? Because you have more players in a dungeon. And if they even have the opportunity to, like, provide more better rewards in those situations, not sure. But I think it's nice that you have an option, right? If you want to group with other people. But, you know, a lot of people are going to play this like Diablo, right? It's going to be like a solo experience. And I think that's what, you know, and that's obviously what they want, and that's what a lot of people do want, yeah. So. Game Jawn added some surprises that I found really intriguing. For one thing, players can actually edit the difficulties of their encounters. There's a little button on the corner that makes enemies more difficult and increase aggro range. In order to survive the higher difficulties, players can enhance their gear too. Combining 2 of the same item will increase the item's level. So 2 longswords will make a longsword +2. This isn't Black Desert Online or any Korean MMO though. There is no risk of losing to a failed enhancement because it'll always succeed. Game Jawn really wants to emphasize making the game fun and accessible with modern quality of life features. But let's say the gear wasn't enough and the player dies. Are players consigned to eternity of the infamous corpse runs? Nope, if players die, they'll respawn with all their gear in a little res sickness. I was pleasantly surprised with the difficulty adjustment compared to the horror stories of OG EverQuest. Okay. Yeah, we know. We know. But, you know, some of us like corpse runs. It's a key component of Classic EverQuest. Now, I'm not saying it should be a key component of EverQuest Legends, but I would certainly hope any Classic EverQuest Plus, like truly EverQuest Classic Plus, would have corpse runs. That being said, I think it's perfectly fine that this does not. But yeah, color me surprised that, you know, they say this. Color me surprised. Corpse run mode? Now that's an idea, Darius. Maybe give people the option. If you're gonna allow people to scale the difficulty, well, maybe allow people to turn on certain... Cause, you know, like what Turtle WoW does, where it has like challenge modes and stuff that you can turn on? That could be an option. I feel like having all these people that never quit EQ is a bigger problem than a bonus. Well, to be fair, so you have Rokin on the team who has built a project around maintaining everything, all the warts and scars of Classic EverQuest. And I am so glad that that exists. I love Project 1999. But you have him working on something that has a lot more quality of life. And I think that's fine, because this is its own thing, right? This doesn't ruin Project 1999. This doesn't ruin Project Quarm. This doesn't ruin EverQuest TLP, EverQuest Live. They're all their own things, right? Now, if there is an official Classic Plus vanilla kind of thing that happens, then that's when I'll start, changing my tune on various opinions, right? Like, I think Classic EverQuest should have corpse runs. But this is clearly not that. But again, I think, yeah, the Turtle WoW thing where you could turn on various challenges, I think it would be cool to have the ability to have corpse runs, but I'm okay that this being its own thing and not having it. Because again, this is very much a dad server, mom server type deal, right? So know your audience, and I'm sure that they do. The EC Tunnel and creating a community. The real OGs know about the East Common Lands Tunnel. I'm not going to pretend I know it. I've only heard of its stories from some of Massively OP's veteran writers and readers. I wasn't allowed to play EverQuest when I was a kid. Oof. Sorry to hear that. I just knew that it was a place that people gathered to sell stuff, so I wondered how Game Jawn planned on leveraging that place with the new server. The dev solution is simple. There are teleporters in every region to get players there. To accommodate for the server load, a separate instance has been created just for players who want to hang out there. For folks just passing through, there's a non-instance version of the East Common Lands Tunnel set up as well. I found it pretty creative. Classic Monetization 2. Okay, let's hear about it. I walked into this interview and demo with the assumption that the game is going to be free to play with microtransactions. But I was actually surprised to find out that this game will be using a subscription model. Subscription model. You love to see it. You love to see it. I was so caught off guard that it didn't register until the drive home. The writer of this article, it's funny. It's like, a subscription model in today's day and age? It's totally gonna be fine. Submodel, very good. Having had time to think about it, I guess it kind of makes sense. What exactly would they be able to sell had they gone with a free-to-play model with microtransactions? Cosmetics wouldn't exactly work, and neither would pay-to-win materials. Plus, veterans often say they'd rather just pay a sub and be done with it. Yep. The dads and moms want the subscription model. You know, I can see it going both ways. Like, obviously THJ was free, but it had microtransactions. This is gonna be paid without microtransactions? Or sub without microtransactions, I guess? Now that really fits like a classic old school MMO situation, right? Because what if you start putting microtransactions in an old school classic MMO, then you kind of lose the spirit of a classic old school MMO. However, this is kind of trying to do like a Diablo style experience. I think it makes sense. I think it's fine. Like, I think that by the nature of what this is, it kind of already infringes on that classic old school experience in a way. But I do support the subscription plus no microtransactions. I think that's a great way to go for this game and this community. So with the monetization aspect is still up in the air for me. I'm intrigued. I've actually been in the mood to play some EverQuest lately. I've played a little bit of Project 1999, but even an experienced MMO player like myself struggled with it. I'm eager to give the game a shot, and I won't have to wait long. Game Jawn is targeting July 2026 for launch. Very interesting. Very interesting. With closed beta signups coming in April and May. Okay. Oh, the closed beta signups are actually live, so I'm assuming that means closed beta is coming in April and May. Does it specifically say they're not doing microtransactions? They said they're going to be using a subscription model. But did they... I don't know that they said no microtransactions, right? Maybe it could be a premium sub model over 15, but I don't think so. They can have both. I think they may have both. I could see it. But I would hope that the microtransactions would be a bit more... If they exist, it would be preferable if it was cosmetic-based. But even then, you're kind of starting to infringe on what classic MMOs are all about with visual progression. What's up, Overbit? When was it established? I think it was... Wasn't it last July? So I'm gonna guess that there's some kind of correlation between when the LLC was established and something with THJ. That's my guess. What you're trying to imply, Blackfar. 40 days after lawsuit to THJ. Oh, no chrono is confirmed. Okay, so no chrono is confirmed. But chrono doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, no chrono doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't going to be microtransactions, right? Yeah, I've just been talking about EverQuest, the EverQuest Legends announcement. And we've been going through the various websites, articles, and stuff. So, shall we venture into the place, into this place? See what the community, see what the greater MMO community on Reddit is saying. Just seems a bit much. My guy, are you living under a rock? Yeah, it was very popular, a very, very popular server. Okay, right. Official EverQuest Classic Plus before WoW Classic Plus? I'm not gonna go that far. I'm not gonna go that far, buddy. Nice was way too young to play this, so I'm excited to give it a spin. This is a new thing, guy. Like, if you wanna play original EverQuest, the closest thing you're gonna get is Project 1999, and that's just the truth. Honestly, expected EverQuest 3, and they do a remaster. Who says they're not doing a new EverQuest game, right? I mean, they could very well maybe have shuttered that project. I don't know what it's going to even be, if it's going to be. But yeah, I don't think this precludes them from doing like other things, right? Like, I think that supporting EverQuest 1 and developing EverQuest 1, specifically classic versions of EverQuest 1, is a very, very good thing. It's a great thing. We all want more EverQuest. I want more EverQuest. Inject it straight into my veins, along with this Kirkland cold brew. Like, I want to be injecting EverQuest and injecting Kirkland cold brew simultaneously. But yeah, that doesn't mean they're not doing a new EverQuest game, but I think it means they should absolutely do more. Yeah. I mean, they mentioned a lawsuit, but I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of not reading everything. But yeah, I mean, it would be good to mention this, right? Definitely inspired by THJ. Yeah, people just telling what's going on here. Yeah. Anyways. That's the announcement, guys. That is the announcement. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you think it's... I mean, yeah, what do you think? Not for you? Yeah, and it is not going to be for a lot of people. But I know people that have not played EverQuest and will never play EverQuest again, who loved THJ. So I think that this pulls in a different audience than your kind of niche classic MMO game community plus like classic EverQuest TLP community, right? Like there's going to be crossover, but this will pull in people that have not interacted with EverQuest in a long time. How many of them is, debatable, but I don't like the whole solo entire game approach. I play games like EQ to have to come together and achieve those things, not so I can sit down for 20 minutes on a Thursday evening and bang it out. Yeah, 100% agree and relate to that. Now, when THJ was around, I really didn't play it. But to be honest, I was a little bit busy. I'm gonna give this a try. I don't know that it's for me either, but I think I really have a lot of faith in Secrets and Rogaine. They are great pillars of our EverQuest community, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's gonna be something that I can enjoy for time. And maybe if they do like seasons or something, maybe it's like, hey, I'm gonna play season 1 of EverQuest Legends, and then I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna kind of maybe get bored of it, and then maybe season 2 comes out and it's like a fresh thing, right? Similar to Diablo, similar to Path of Exile. I think that would be really cool. Please consider seasons, because seasons are like a good spike in engagement. So you have your spike in engagement, it kind of, and then it comes down again, but then you have a new season, and you have new modifiers, you have new mechanics. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it does. I'm excited to give it a try. And I'm happy for Game Jawn. It's really cool, and my faction standing with Daybreak Games, or their faction with me, has increased because now there is the whole like, hey, this is THJ's idea, now you're doing it. It's their IP, to be honest, and they saw the value in it. So yeah, there is that kind of like ethical maybe dilemma there. But in terms of Daybreak Games making products that I may be interested in, or other products, adjacent products to this that I could be interested in the future, like an official Classic Plus, like an official, Classic EverQuest service, that is what makes me more receptive to what they're doing in general, because I want more EverQuest. I want more EverQuest 1. I want more ways to experience it. And I want a new EverQuest title. I do. I want to see what they would do with it. Now, does that mean... That doesn't mean they all have to be, Project 1999 EverQuest, but... I don't know, man. I'm just excited for them to support the franchise and specifically the game that allowed them to really exist in the first place, right? Support your games. Don't let them... When are they doing the PlanetSide 1 version of this? That's what I want to know. Truly. But, yeah. This is cool. PlanetSide was peak? Indeed. Indeed. So I'll talk about that more later, but I had a fun PlanetSide experience last night. Now's the time to make the elevator pitch for PlanetSide 1 project? Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of important to note this. There is 2 projects now attempting to do this. There's 2 projects now attempting to do this. The other elephant in the room. The other elephant in the room. That's more Vapor though, right? Well, I think the project's pretty early on, but it seems like they have a good amount of team. After jumping in the Discord and looking at the member list. So, maybe I do another video on this entirely, but I just want to mention that this is a project that exists. And this, to my knowledge, is made from the original THJ devs. It is a multi-class, tri-class MMO. Independent MMO, new IP. So, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are a bit miffed about EverQuest Legends. This may be for you then, because this is a creation of the THJ devs. God Mode Games production. Nayland, thank you for the 2 months. So this is something that I will also be keeping an eye on. But I just wanted to throw it out there that, yeah, good luck to both projects, exactly. I wish nothing but the best for all projects, really. Most projects, I would say. Hey, finally catch you live and see you promoting the game I'm most hyped for so far. HO represent. Yeah, I am keeping an eye on Hollowed Oath, and I know some people on the team. I think they're super passionate developers, super talented developers, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they come up with. You know, so yeah. So yeah, give this a look too. Let me drop a link in the chat. But yeah, I guess that's kind of... These 2 will be competing for the attention of people that really like THJ. And there it is. So cool. I guess I will call it a video. I'll get this up on YouTube. By the way, guys, I just want to... Am I doing okay? I'm doing great, Kuzo. Thank you for asking. I'm doing fantastic, actually. So I want to... I've got a couple things here. So let's see. How do I do this? Do you guys like Discord? Because I've got something for you if you do. That is my Discord going forward. For all stream activities, all YouTube activities, all discussions. So yeah, please join and become a part of the community. There will be a subscriber section. I don't know that I have it set up yet for like the auto rolls and everything. But yeah, please join. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely be hanging out in there. And yeah. And then you can find out when I'm going live and everything like that. Let's go back to, let's turn this off. So yeah. What else? I should probably make the join channel a different channel. I messed up on that. System messages channel, join messages. Okay. There it is. Fixed. Curious about EQL's business model. It's subscription based, but we don't know. We know it's subscription based, and we know there's no chrono, but we don't know if there's going to be microtransactions. My assumption is that there will be, but I can't really say for sure. We're going to see you streaming more AOA during the playtest. Yeah, I think it's time to move on to AOA. So let us do that. So again, oh, and I guess the other thing I should mention, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am gonna be posting this video here. I'm gonna be posting other videos. I posted my VOD from AOA the other day, so please check that out. And yeah, let's move on to AOA now. Thanks again for watching the video.